So science is defined as, yes, describing, creating, and understanding facts of the human experience. I repeat, science is defined as the describing, creating, and understanding facts of the human experience. This was the definition I gave you yesterday, and I gave three illustrations also. Newton's human experience while observing the falling apple towards the ground, Stevenson's observation of a dancing lid or the kettle in which the tea was boiling, and Archimedes' nude bath experience, uh, which resulted in the Archimedes principle followed by the laws of flotation. And I also said the laws of motion, even the gravitational law, was not in fact stated by Sir Isaac Newton. It was stated by Saint Canard. You may get a doubt. How could you say this? Yeah, I have got Sanskrit scripts and all. Sanskrit is not the language of Hindus. No, absolutely it's not. Sanskrit and Vedas, they are Shastras. Just as you are learning physics, chemistry, biology, mathematics, yes, Vedas are the Shastras. Shastras means all these subjects. Lots of information about all these things have is there in everything. That's why even recently Saudi Arabia has added Ramayana and Mahabharata in their curriculum. I don't know how many of you have read that. British, the British government introduced chanting Bhagavad Gita slokas daily in their regular prayers, along with the Bible scripts. And Saudi Arabia added Ramayana and Mahabharata in their curriculum. You know, I don't know how many of you know it. I visited Saudi Arabia as well as many Gulf countries as a resource person to train the teachers working in Indian schools there. So every day we were the guest of honors because we came all the way from India to their lands. Our Indian teachers were there. Indian schools are there. The Indian schools, CBSE schools, are established there to take care of the children of all the Indians working in various different companies, working in different Gulf companies. So NCRT will be periodically changing the syllabi, and experts like us will be invited. So in 2008, I was deputed by the HRD Ministry, central government, as a resource person. I went to Dubai and other Gulf countries. And in 2010, the principal there, one of the principals there, in coordination with other schools and Deputy High Commissioner of India, invited me there as a resource person. I was there in Jubail, near Dammam. So uh, this thing, and people were very curious to participate in all the competitive examinations in India. So there they wanted people like us to train their teachers. Even I was requested to stay back by the Deputy High Commissioner and the President of Indian community there, but somehow uh, I never liked to settle abroad. I visited America many times. I went to Canada many times. I went to Germany, many countries I visited, but never I got an idea to settle there. Maybe because of the feeling that Mera Bharat Mahan. That's a fact. So we should love our country. That's a fundamental thing. Why the Gulf countries are prospering? Why the America is prospering? Why Japan is prospering? Because they have that feeling that this is mine, this country is mine, this land is mine. All my intellectual skills, energy, and all my abilities must be used for the growth of my nation. That's the feeling they had. Unfortunately, we the Indians will always have the habit of praising others and degrading ourselves. That's why I never hesitated. Even in Saudi, when I was asked to give one PPT, I started my lecture seminar, and I quoted many of the scripts and related them to the different principles in physics, like law of conservation of energy, the principle of atom bomb, the quoted Sanskrit scripts, and related correlated to the scientific principles. After the meeting, just I'm sharing my experience. After the end of the meeting, there was a tea and snacks. So I was having tea. The religious head of the Jubail city. I think he will be called as Imam. I don't know exactly. Maybe Hassan can help me. What is the name? The religious head of Jubail. He was one of the guests on that day. I think he's called Imam. Fawad Hassan. I think you can tell me. What is the name?
Sir.
He'll be called
Hassan.
Imam, huh?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, good. So that Imam came to me. I was a little worried why you referred all those scripts in the land of the birthplace of Prophet Muhammad. I expected that and I was a little shocked. So really, I felt so happy. All matured people will never have that narrow-mindedness to accept the truth. So he came to me and very pleasantly he shook his hands with me. I felt it is a really great privilege. He complimented my seminar and he admitted what all you said is correct. But I wanted to add, Lord Krishna said, your Lord Krishna said, these were the exact words used by him. Your Lord Krishna said, the last representative of God will come from this land, that is the Saudi Arabia, which is the birthplace of Prophet Muhammad. After Prophet Muhammad, no other representatives of God will come. That's what he said. It's not my words, not my interpretation. And after the seminar was over, I was gifted with Quran. Still, I am preserving it with me. So matured people will never have the differences. In India, unfortunately, the things are different because every party wants the political gains. Until and unless you refer about religion, until and unless you refer about caste, region, state, these parties won't gain votes. The development of nation is secondary for them. Only votes and power is primary for them. So let us not go into other details. So just since all of you are youngsters, your mind should be free from pollution. So as a teacher, I just thought of sharing my experiences. I won lots of respects wherever I went abroad. I could not visit Singapore and Japan. I have one friend in Japan, Tomami Woka. She is a biology teacher at +2 grade. I mean, inter first year and second year. Many times she invited me. She was my co-guide with NASA space settlement projects. Indian Space Development Conference will be held every year in the month of May, June. And I got a privilege to be a member of it. And we will be doing projects and taking the students to the project. So she was our co-guide till 2015. From 12 to 15, 4 years, we worked together and presented wonderful projects. And at +2 grade, we got very good places. We could not get first place, but second, third, and fourth places we got at the international level. So nearly 150 teams will be participating in 11th, 12th grade. And every time our team got prizes. In 16, 17, I tried on my own. And in both the times, of course, we got third place. You may ask why, sir? The reason is I prefer only my typing and the scripts made by me, the diagrams made by me by hand, because at the time I was not good in computer graphics. Whereas all the other people, and they are very good in computer graphics. So graphics might have dominated the judgment. So this is all about our various other activities. And why I referred, because yeah, Saint Kannad. So I will be showing that Sanskrit scripts also, while and the relevant formula stated by Sir Isaac Newton when we do the laws of motion. Here I am concluding. So this is about the definition of science, describing, creating, and understanding facts of human experience. Then I referred about the perception of mind. I referred about the human experience and perception of mind. Every human being will not respond equally to the human experience. Suppose I quote one small thing. Socrates. Have you ever heard of Socrates?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he was a great philosopher, and one day he never cared about his maintenance of family. I don't want to trouble you people by starting directly units and measurements. Yeah, few days, Mr. Anand requested me to take the confidence of the students, sir, and create some interest in the subject. That's why what all other relevant information I had in mind, I thought of sharing with you. I may not get chance once we begin the schedules. So Socrates was a great philosopher, and he never used to care for his family. He never used to worry how I am getting this food in the afternoon, how I am getting bread in the morning as a breakfast, how I am getting my dinner, how I was getting my coffee, tea, etc. Never he used to care. His wife was struggling like anything to maintain the family. So she got frustrated like anything, because how long a person can bear the torture? The wife was really tortured by this adamant and negligent attitude of Socrates. So the days were going on. That day, nothing was there to make lunch. So Socrates' wife disturbed a lot, and she started uh, grumbling, scolding mildly Socrates, and she went to collect pot full of water. Now we have got everything in our house. Our houses are very well equipped. Even relative to our childhood, you have a better child by childhood days with all comforts around you. So as the days are advancing, after one generation to another generation, the lifestyle of people is being dominated by the technology and giving us more and more comforts. That everyone should agree. So Socrates was as usual. He sat in one of the corners of the house, just exactly near to the main door. Socrates' wife went for a collection of water with the pot. She went to the municipal tap or public tap, whatever you call. So she collected pot full of water, kept it on her head, slowly walked into the home. She entered the main door into the main room, first room, and really she was worrying because how to make food for the afternoon. She observed this fellow who was negligent, totally negligent about the surroundings, including his wife. So, as usual, Socrates' wife observed him, keeping his head up, looking into the space, blank looks, no expressions, no feelings, no worries, nothing. One should be lucky to be like that. So, because he was philosopher, he was like that. Then he wife got irritated because while going out only she started scolding. After entering into the room, she really got irritated and started shouting, scolding with high tone. And she just hold that pot full of water, lifted, went near to the Archimedes and just dumped that pot full of water on the head of Socrates. Yeah, this happened. Then some injury might be there because it's pot full of water means every 1 meter cube of water will have a mass of 1 kg. It's not a small mass. So that's weight might have injured his head also, but he did not feel anything. When water was falling on my head in Muktinad, I could not move across the taps in which water was coming. In Muktina, the temperature will be around 1 to 2 degrees, just at the freezing point. By night, it goes to freezing stage. Again, in the morning, once the sunrise falls, again the water starts falling. So there will be 108 taps in semicircular shape, and the people who visit that place, yeah, they start running below those taps. The Gandaki river water will be coming out through the head of Nandis. And 108 Nandis were arranged in semicircular shape, and people will be running below those tap water heads. You don't believe, after I completed half of the semicircle, I thought big stones are hitting my head, and I could not complete the semicircle. I came out. Maybe because of that very low temperature. So when that much massive pot full of water had fallen on the head, definitely would have got injury, but he did not get. The water was falling like this. It was rinsing his body. Maybe some blood drops also might be showering down. He did not care all those things. He just opened his eyes, looked at his wife like this, rose his head, looked at his wife with astonishment. He did not notice his wife also. What was his reaction? I heard a lot of uh, thunders, lot of sounds I heard because of this thunder. Only this much rain I got. It could not even rinse my clothes totally. That was his reaction. See, very not even 0.001% of the people will react like that to that incident. If it would have somebody was there at that spot, would have got up and slapped his wife, because yeah, whatever anger you get, you should not hurt somebody physically. But it happened. It happened. So Socrates coolly, he did not even thought that wife was standing before him very furiously, scolding him, had hit him with the pot full of water. He did not care all those things. He just shook his head and opened his eyes with astonishment, and looking into the space, he said, I heard lot of thunders, sound, noise, and all, only this much water which failed to rinse my clothes completely. That is what I mean is the perception of the mind. And suppose you walked into your kitchen garden, if you have small space behind your kitchen, you have some rose plants and all. Yeah, we have in my native place, not kitchen garden, very big garden is there, very big house, almost in 50 cents, half acre. So as and when you come out of your house and look at the rose plant, you'll have small droplets of water present on the leaves and the flowers. The lukewarm rays of sun will be falling on the rose petals as well as the leaves of the rose plant, and the solar light, sunlight will be incident on this water droplets and get dispersed into the seven colors. If I have a poetic sensation, I'll write a beautiful poem. If I have a poetic sensation, if I have a philosophical sensation, oh, what a greatness of this universe. Unity in diversity, diversity in unity. One polychromatic light is splitting into one sunlight is splitting into different colors. And if these different colors are merged, we are getting a single colored light. That's called unity in diversity. Single color has got many colors. Diversity in unity. Many colors has got single color. So this is a philosophical response of the mind. Whereas Newton reacted, yes, when white light is incident on a refracting medium satisfying certain conditions, then it gets dispersed into different colors. This is called scientific temperament. This is called scientific perception. So human experience means, a simple example I attempted to give you. Human experience means every human experience, don't mistake, every human experience will not yield into the scientific principles. They may yield, human experiences may yield into great poetic work like uh, John Keats. Have you ever heard the poetry of John Keats in your English? I remember my high school English teacher, he was A.C.H. Chinnaya. We used to call him as father. You know, in missionary schools, the headmaster will be called as fathers. So we used to call him as father, very dignified man. We cannot find such people nowadays. We find all the people putting coconut oil on the heads. Whereas being a Christian, he never used to advocate in the class. He never used to talk nonsense inside the class. Very dignified man. And I remember what he said in my 9th class English. John Keats, the name of the poem is A Thing of Beauty is Joy Forever. See how great philosophy is there, wonderful literature is there, excellent poetry it was. A thing of beauty is joy forever. He was blind man by birth. John Keats was blind, but he produced wonderful poetry. Means he could have an imagination. When the light rays are striking his body, even though he could not see that visible light, yes, he was sensing it by the intellectual capability of his mind. So this human perception may diversify, may come out from the mind in the form of a poetry, in the form of a great philosophy like Socrates, or in the form of scientific principles like great scientists we have around us. So this is what I mean by the human experience and evolution of scientific principles. Every human experience, remember, will not yield into scientific principle. One should have that perception. What is that perception? To know. That to know is only also simply called as science. So this is very elaborate, and we have some more illustrations like these Wright brothers. Wright brothers, even there is an Indian context for this. Wright brothers were walking in green meadows. They observed beautiful colored birds flying in the sky. So they thought, they got an idea after observing. Human experience of Wright brothers was observing the colorful birds flying in the sky. After observing those colorful birds, their human experience made them to think, why can't we fly like birds? After they got idea, they started they observed the birds. They made similar wings type structures. They tied to their hands, and they went up to the small hills, mountains, and they started jumping. Yes, they understood. Already buoyancy concept was explained by Archimedes. So they assumed that if the buoyancy of air can be used properly by wing type structures, then yes, we can also fly like birds. This is a hypothesis. Then they could propel the gases come out of the combustion of these petrol, and they could require, they're using that energy coming out of the propelled fuel plus the buoyancy of air. Ultimately the aeroplane has come into existence, right brothers? But 12 years before, 8 or 12 years before, the Wright brothers invented the first flight. Talapade and Subramanian, you can remember these names, Talapade and Subramanian. Talapade is from Pune, Subramanian is a Tamilian. Both together, they vaporized mercury. You know, mercury boiling point is 357 degrees centigrade. I quote it once we do the heat. So Talapade from Pune and Subramanian from Chennai, Tamil Nadu, present Tamil Nadu. Earlier it was called as Madras province. So both together, they vaporized mercury, and they could send, or they could drive the first flight into the air. Of course, as usual, the Britishers very intelligently inculcated that slavery attitude in our minds, and the same history books were read by all of us, even including ourselves. So our minds won't accept that many things were done by Indians. The zero was invented by Indian. Pi was invented by Indian. The concept of elliptical orbit was invented by Indian astronomer Bhaskaracharya. The first ever plastic surgery was done by the Indian doctor Susruth, whose statue was kept in Australian Medical Council. And before Pythagoras, the Pythagoras theorem, I mean the square of the hypotenuse is equal to sum of the squares of the other two sides of the right angle triangle, was stated by the Indian mathematician, same man, Saint Canard. But nobody is ready to accept. They're all the facts. We have got historical evidences. The scripts of Vedas are not hundreds or tens of years old. They are more than 5,000 years of old. The scriptures are more than 5,000 years of old. So before the Western people came to started wearing dress, before the Western people started eating the refined food, our country flourished with extraordinary civilization and culture. So this was, of course, deliberately, very daringly put by Swami Vivekananda in the International Religious Conference in Chicago. Nobody could say, he said, when you people do not know to wear clothes, in India, we had the excellent technology to make a sari and put it in a small matchbox. Plus, our Indus Valley civilization was aging more than 5,000 years. You have a similar civilization in Egypt, Mesopotamian civilization, but Indus Valley civilization is more older than the Mesopotamian civilization. These two are the oldest civilizations on the globe. So now I'll try to Wright brothers invented the flight. Before them, Subramanian and Talapade. So the invention of the principle of flight came from the simple human experience of, yes, the human experience of observation of the colorful birds flying in the sky. It's like this. Just I wanted to share a few such important things which were for which we have to feel proud. The greatness of our Indians. So just I'll be sharing you. This is related to the measurement. Everybody is able to see the screen?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
PPT, are you able to see?
Yes, sir.
Good. So this was in Tulsidas Hanuman Chalisa. He collected it from Ramayana. This is the word. I think all of you are able to read it. Yuga Sahasra Yojana Parabhanu. I repeat, Yuga Sahasra Yojana Parabhanu was one of the stanzas in Tulsidas Hanuman Chalisa. Lilyo Tahi Madhura Falajanu. That is a continuation of it. So, Vedic mathematics explained that Yuga means 1200 years, Sahasra means 1000, Sahasranama, Vishnu Sahasranama, Lalita Sahasranama, etc. We all have them. Yuga means 1200 years, Sahasra means 1000, Yojana 8 miles. So Yuga Sahasra Yojana, that is equal to Para. Yuga Sahasra Yojana Parabhanu means Bhanu means sun. Sun, Para means distance. The distance of sun from earth this is how it was calculated in Vedic mathematics. So this is Yuga means 1200, Sahasra means 1000, Yojana means 8 miles, and each mile is equal to 1.6 kilometers. Finally, it comes out to be, yes, this is all the calculations were done. So it is 153,600,000. This was the distance of sun estimated by our Vedic astronomers. The same was quoted by Tulsidas. So the earth was calculation was shown in 2 steps. It's not properly typed. So it is 153 million. Here you can see this. 153 million and 600,000 kilometers. So if you convert it into kilometers, it will be 1.536 into 10 to the power of 11 meters. The same was quoted by NASA as 1 astronomical unit. See the, you will be surprised to know these things.
How did they know, sir?
That's the greatness. They estimated, they calculate how our NASA people could do. They estimated the distance. Nobody could measure so far. Nobody could put the tape from sun to earth and measured. You have one triangular properties, na? Similar triangles. If ratio of corresponding sides are equal, then the if in two similar triangles, the ratio of corresponding sides are equal. They use this mathematical concept, means Vedic mathematics I was telling, that's why. So using Vedic mathematics, they could say, they could estimate the distance of the earth from the sun. Then using the triangular method, no other method was there. Tan theta is equal to opposite side by adjacent side. I'll refer it in a gravitational lesson. I can explain it, but I don't want to just bring all the physics now in these introductory classes. Okay, definitely in Kepler's second law, I'll explain how this is measured. It's a mathematical way of measuring the things. All astronomical measurements are measured using mostly trigonometry. Same technique was used. Vedic mathematics has got trigonometry also. Using that, they could measure this. Yuga Sahasra Yojana Parabhanu is nothing but 1.536 into 10 to the power of 11 meters. The same was told by NASA as astronomical unit. Even it was, you can see clearly, the verse in this email is the 18th Doha in Hanuman Chalisa of Surdas. Then, so this is the context in Vedic sciences and mathematics of distance of Earth from the sun. Then this is really lots of mathematical features, and nobody could solve this so far. Some of you may be knowing it. NASA is working seriously on this. Sri Yantra. When we presented projects with the name of Sri Yantra, we got awards. So NASA won't give awards just like that until and unless they are convinced that some useful content for research is there in that, they won't consider for the awards. So you can see you have one square structure, and we have 1, 2, 3 inner circles and many triangles, and exactly at the center it is called Bindu. Now our Indian mathematicians, Vedic mathematicians and Vedic astrologers plus scientists say, if anybody could go up to that Bindu, keeping on peeping into the Sri Chakra, then it is nothing but the abundant source of energy. Abundant source of energy. That the abundant source of energy located at the point of this Sri Chakra was only named by Indians as Sri Mata Lalita Tripura Sundari, and maybe the Prophet Muhammad or Jesus Christ might have also spoken about the God in the heavenly world. Maybe different religions will call differently, but God is single, same God. The region and locality may be changing the names with which the God is called. So it's our convenience to pray to the God. So the same was Lalita Tripura Sundari. So this is another wonderful aspect. We called it as Lalita Tripura Sundari. Maybe Christians may call it in a different way, and Muslims may call it in a different way. So this is about the Sri Chakra. Wonderful treasures of mathematics and sciences. Nobody could solve it so far. Then coming to the Ramasetu. Yeah, in DMK government in Tamil Nadu thought of breaking this Ramasetu so that the ships and all things need not move around Sri Lanka to travel from Trivandrum to Chennai or Visakhapatnam. So they thought of breaking this Ramasetu, but many people said, no, it's not man-made, it's not artificial, or it's not naturally formed things. They were constructed. And how could they construct? The Ramayana says, Vanaras, Neel, Nal, etc., wonderful civil engineers, they applied the concept of buoyancy. What is that buoyancy? Same, Archimedes. So before Archimedes only, Indians applied this buoyancy concept. Whenever a body is immersed partly or fully, they start floating, and they use the concept with some other materials. They could form this bridge, and almost 30-kilometer stretch. All the things were shown very clearly here. Yeah, it's nearly 30-kilometer stretch from Dhanushkoti to Trincomalee in Sri Lanka. They could form a bridge. These are all the satellite pictures, not made by anyone. Satellite pictures leased by NASA. After that only Supreme Court said it should be declared as National Heritage Site. So then the government stopped its ideas of, you can see, this is our Indian coast, this is Sri Lankan coast, and this picture was taken by the NASA's satellites. So hence, this was the construction made by using the principle of buoyancy some 5,200 years. The age of this particular bridge was also estimated. That is relating, that's coinciding with yes, the age of those rocks. And see, Indians, evidence is there to prove that Indians have got extraordinary knowledge of geography. Starting from Kedarnath to Rameshwar, including Kaleshwaram in Telangana. Almost 12 or 15 temples were kept on the single longitude. These temples were constructed some thousands of years before. Really, without knowing the knowledge of longitudes, latitudes, and geographical locations of the places, it is impossible to match all these temples on the single latitude. So next, it is related to chemistry. Hot water springs in Himachal Pradesh. One Shakti temple is there. You can see all those boiling water vapors coming out. If you just come out of the water, you will be having a freezing temperature. Temperatures in single digits will be there. But you see how the pilgrims, even Punjabis, have got these hot water springs. They will take a holy dip in these hot water springs. So fastly, I'm just recollecting, recapitulating, showing you. And this is also related to chemistry, just as the exploding gas coming out of the oil wells, ONGC wells in Bay of Bengal, the flame will be coming out. Here, you can see there are 9 flames. It's known as a Jwalamukhi. So it's related to chemistry, petroleum, oil, or natural gas products. But Jwalamukhi temple was built some thousands of years before, and you must really praise the greatness of our Indians to build the temples. All such very geographical, scientific, technological focal points in India were formed in the form of temples, shown in the form of temples, so that their sanctity, they are maintained for thousands of years. That's only the reason, not to ask the people to come and spoil the ecosystem there. Next, this was a place, Chitrakoot. Now all these modern structures were have spoiled the ecological balance. But during Ramayana time, in Valmiki Ramayana, the complete ecological balance and the hundreds of varieties of species present in the forest, varieties of species of fruits, varieties of species of vegetables were clearly explained in Ramayana. So lots of information about the biology was also there with us some thousands of years before. And this is related to the experts in our medicine. Yeah, here is Susrut. These are the photos while he conducted the first plastic surgery. Then we have Charaka, Vatsayana. So in recognition to the great works done by Susrut, well before the Westerns have spoken about the medicine, the Australian Medical Council kept the statue of Susrut in their Australian Medical Council. Then, as I said, Kanadadu, he was the pioneer in particle physics, laws of motion. Aryabhata, Bhaskaracharya, Varaha Mihira, they were all great mathematicians plus space physicists. And Bharadwaj, he was the first man to develop the dry cell. So these are all why I told all these things covering different subjects. Yeah, these are he is the Saint Kanad who explained the structure of atom. He is the Bharadwaj who developed the first ever cell. He used parts. Like this, we have many such things in our land where we can have the various aspects related to the mathematics, physics, chemistry, biology, astrology, medicine, every field of excellence has originated from our land. So